From Cardinal Television Studios, I'm your host James Deasy, and here is your Fisher News Brief. At least 10 people have been killed and at least 50 injured in an explosion on St. Petersburg's metro. That's according to Russian media. President Vladimir Putin, who was in the city at the time of the blast, has expressed his condolences to the victims. All metro stations across the city remain closed.
Details, of course, very sketchy at this early stage. It's just within the last few minutes that social media reports started to emerge about an explosion on a metro station in St. Petersburg. It's now being reported by the Russian state media, the TASS news agency, that an explosion has hit a metro station in the center of St. Petersburg. Emergency services, according to state media, are on the scene, and there are casualties reported. Now, there are stills photographs and video that's been circulated on the internet showing some very violent scenes, some scenes of bloodshed, and some scenes of the station, which has been described as or named as Sinaya Square, which is right in the center of St. Petersburg, engulfed in smoke. As I say, the platform, the corridors around this area. There's also stills pictures rather, of a train with what appear to be its doors blown off, and the splattering of blood marks around, along with a few apparent casualties on the floor on the platform. Beyond that, we don't have any information. It's still not been confirmed to us by the Emergency Situations Ministry that normally take the lead in situations like this about what the circumstances are. But we are getting plenty of reports on Russian state media. Let me just repeat them to you. An explosion has hit a metro station in the center of St. Petersburg. Emergency services are at the scene, or at least on their way to the scene. And it is being reported by Russian state media that there are casualties. That's been accompanied by stills photograph and video that's been posted online showing these very chaotic and traumatic scenes in what state media has named as Sinaya Square metro station, which, as I say, Christy, is right in the center of the Russian city of St. Petersburg.
Less than 100 feet to go, the world's largest tunnel boring machine that's digging a new Highway 99 tunnel below Seattle is almost done with its work. The project is years overdue and billions over budget. But the drill, known as Bertha, will break through any day now. Annie Andrews shows us how this project is a long time coming.
50% is a major milestone for the program, right? But I do not want to distract that there's 50% to go.
That was back in October when Bertha had just made her way past Pike Place. She was back on schedule after a major breakdown stalled the 330-foot drilling machine for 2 years.
Everything's going according to plan.
As we've been going up First Street, almost zero ground movement.
According to plan, words that many have mocked.
They tell you it's going to open in 2015, and now it's 2019, so what's that mean, 2022?
After Bertha's delay cost commuters 2 years and $480 million. But it's also been one of the trickiest undertakings ever attempted, with at the time the world's largest drill facing every type of soil.
Machine's capable of handling all the ground conditions that we've encountered so far.
That update was in December, and the statement has held true for the last 4 months. In fact, Bertha is averaging 29 feet a day, putting her ahead of schedule to punch through at 6th and Harrison sometime this week.
The machine will basically come into here, sit on the cradle.
10 stories underground near the Space Needle, where 600 workers will spend 4 to 5 months disassembling the same machine they ran for nearly 4 years. And others will begin construction on the double-decker highway, lights and ventilation that's set to take another 1.5 years.
There's a lot of unknowns, a lot of uncertainties. And what we need to do is basically be consistent with our approach.
So truly, what was halfway 6 months ago was only half of the project. But there is light at the end of this tunnel.
The second man who walked on the moon took a first-of-a-kind flight in Florida Sunday. Buzz Aldrin became the oldest person to fly with the U.S. Air Force demonstration team, the Thunderbirds. Caitlin Wilson was there.
Legendary astronaut Buzz Aldrin was once one of the first men to walk on the moon. And now, even at 87 years old, he's still defying the odds.
Well, it's been a good while. But I understand the throttle and the stick and formation flying.
Sunday, he flew a among the clouds once more alongside the United States Air Force Thunderbirds at the Melbourne Air and Space Show. He helped to fly an F-16 Fighting Falcon. His co-pilot described the experience as one he'd never dreamed he'd have.
It was a lifetime highlight for sure. To be able to go out, take an American icon up in an F-16, a Thunderbird F-16 at that, and then to fly over the Cape with all those historic sites, Pad 39 Alpha where Apollo 11 took off, it's just it's hard to put into words.
Walsh said even at 87, Aldrin seemed perfectly at home in the sky.
Physically, mentally, sharp as a tack, and it was just impressive to see how he handled the profile.
For Aldrin, he says he just wishes he could do things of this nature much more often.
I felt at home, and it'd be nice to be able to do that all the time.
Before Aldrin's time working for NASA, he served as a fighter pilot for the Air Force, later serving in the Korean War. He eventually retired as a colonel.
And that is your Fisher News Brief. I am James Deasy.